Good morning, Yasha Allah. On this getting near to the Shabbat, we welcome you to this short lesson, and it's a word of encouragement. I think in these changing times, as the mighty clouds of joy would say, don't let the world change your mind. In fact, don't let no one change your mind, Yasha Allah, as we face the future. We have an anchor. So we're looking at um, the words of our king, our high priest, Mashiach, and it's a short meditation for you. And from Yohanan chapter 14, verse 1. You know that title as John chapter 14, verse 1. Very um, well-known verse. So let's get it together. Yohanan, John chapter 14, verse 1, read, "Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in Yahweh Elohim. Believe also in me." So we have again the words of our high priest and Malak, our king, Yahushai. Uh, this is a meditation from his get together with the apostles. And he was admonishing them to be steadfast and unmovable, indeed, always abounding in the work of the Most High, for as much as you know that your labor shall not be in vain. Our paymaster is a good paymaster. And in due season, you shall reap. We shall reap if we faint not. And so the master, our high priest, following his great sacrifice, offering himself in the will of the Father Yahweh by the eternal Ruach, he offered himself, a lamb without blemish, as a spotless lamb. He offered himself for the redemption of the world that he came to save. Principally, that word is Yasha Allah. 12 tribes that have been brutalized and scattered throughout all the earth. And at the hand or the hands of all the nations, I guess, the nations of the earth had their hand. No, they had their hands in the enslavement of Yasha Allah. Be reminded, as I was sharing with you earlier, that it was our own brothers who began who started off slavery. Those were Levi and Simeon. Simeon. You call them the Dominican Republic, because Levi and the Dominicans live on the same island, each one sharing like a half of the island. So Haiti is on the, I believe, on the western side, something like that, western, southwestern, and Simeon is on the eastern side of the island. These two brothers, and we are told in the book of Bereshith, Genesis chapter 49, that these brothers have instruments of cruelty. I don't want to go and look for it now, but you can check it out in Bereshith or Genesis chapter 49. It mentions Levi and Simeon having instruments of cruelty. These instruments were and are the use of witchcraft, obeah, witchcraft in various forms. That if your ears have been open, you might have heard individuals out of the nations at large, talking having much conversation about the potency of the Haitian voodoo and of the Dominican, heavy into witchcraft. And these brothers, two brothers of the 12 tribes, living on the island of what's the real name now? Do they still call it Hispaniola? But that island where Haiti is and Dominican Republic is. Two brothers living there. And the scripture says in Genesis or Bereshith chapter 49, you can look up the verse for it, that instrument of cruelty is in their hand. And so they have been deeply involved in voodoo and witchcraft, various forms of magic, and causing great harm to many. As a matter of fact, as I was sharing with you earlier, they're the ones, beginning with Levi, who put slavery on the move, put slavery on the map. Think of it. The chosen ones of the Most High are the ones who instituted slavery. Well, the French, Napoleon, took it over from Haiti, from the Haitians, the Levites, the fallen priests, and politicized it. Thereby, you had the Willie Lynch letter. You must have heard of that letter by now. The Willie Lynch letter of recommendation of how to make a slave. Let's make a slave. But all of that recommendation came as a consequence of Levi, the Haitians, jump-starting slavery. And Simeon following right close behind him to hold up his hand in the black arts. That's how slavery got started, with the father's own children helping Esau. Hey. And so, in view of that, and the consequences following, whereby we have as one benediction after prayer has said, and still say, I believe, as it was in the beginning, so now in the end. The beginning of slavery started with our own brothers, Levi and Simeon. And Esau was undeniably full of welcome for the help that he received. Matter of fact, when we check it out in the four, what they call the Gospels, and the renewed covenant called the New Testament, the Levites, the Haitians, the fallen priesthood, the priesthood of the 12 tribes, the Levites assisted Esau with the crucifixion. You go and you study those four books, beginning the renewed covenant set of scriptures, as we have it in the one book called the Bible. And you will see the actions of the priests and high priests portrayed in those scriptures. The intimate hand of terror they had to apply hurt and pain in the crucifixion of the Mashiach. Indeed, Levi was right there. Levi was kicking it off. And then years later, when the time came for the slave trade to begin, Levi indeed jump started the slave trade, with Simeon close at his heels. And thus all the world became involved. In fact, Esau took it over and added it into his routine. And you know what he did with the slavery protocols. You know how he worked at slavery. But it was started by Levi. This is what you new believers coming in must get an understanding of. So the people you're coming to team up with, in general, 12 tribes, but like the Mashiach would say to them, that many of them are devils. And we're giving you an example right here in the scriptures that Levi, so-called Haitians, jump-started enslavement, the enslavement of their own brethren, the house of Yahweh, usually called the house of Judah, put into slavery by the Haitians, by the Levites, who were teamed up with by Simeon or the Dominican brothers. That's how slavery got started. And you need to know that as you begin your passage into the Hebrew community. I'm speaking in terms of the 12 tribes. That's your people. That's who started the slave trade that has dominated your life and desecrated you so badly. It was started by your own brothers. And Napoleon and the French. So enlightened, by their newfound torture protocol, enslavement, they got to it right away and have used their ships, according to Deuteronomy chapter 28. They used their ship, the French I'm speaking about, from the time of Napoleon. They used their ships. And the fellow called Amalek, one of Esau's sons, grandson, in fact, took charge of all his brethren. He was the firm hand and leadership of Esau's dynasty. And that portion of Amalek today is called the Jews. Those are the ones who took firm control of the slavery, the enslavement of the 12 tribes. And this was their main course of enslavement against the 12 tribes. Hatred for the Most High and hatred for the Mashiach. Of course, Amalek and Pilate and Herod crucified him, crucified the Mashiach. And they turned around and created a well-known document that you will hear over and repeatedly within the Catholic Church and her daughters, the other churches that adhere to Catholicism. They repeat what is called the Nicene Creed, that brags of their conquests in crucifying our Mashiach. What they did, however, was make up a false name to represent the Mashiach. I mean, if it's false, it really doesn't represent the Mashiach. But I'm only showing you what happened in history. That Amalek, or the people you call the Jews, made up a false name, and through their witchcraft, got that false name to be attached to the Mashiach. And thereby you get that pretty, well, that face, that pink face that they call Jesus. That's how you got that face, because of their hatred against the the true Mashiach, they instituted another in his place. The true Mashiach is a dark-skinned individual, a dark-skinned man. But they gave you a shrimp color, a man to represent the Mashiach. They did change the name. They didn't use the Hebrew name. They gave a new name that they called Jesus, all away from the Hebrew name. So as you come in, as you're thinking about coming into the faith of our fathers, we encourage you, come on in, because we have a mighty army, indeed, led by a mighty king, Mashiach, Shikataba. The Father's own word come in the flesh to secure salvation for the sons and daughters of the Most High. That is the 12 tribes. And those whom he would add in to the 12 tribes of the nations. Again, let not your heart be troubled. Don't worry about Russia and Putin or Putin. You know, their stuff what they got going on, and they're all trying to get close to some some membership of the 12 tribes. That's what they're ever inching and trying to get near to us some kind of way, because they want to tap into your spirit for help, for energy. See, Satan discovered a long time ago that he had no power when he deserted the Shamayim. When he was thrown out, and he dashed, to what he thought was freedom and having his own way, he found out that he had no power, couldn't keep his own self alive, and all those fallen ones with him, they could not keep themselves alive. And this is the reason why they took to mingling with the 12 tribes, because they saw that the life of the Mashiach was in the people of the 12 tribes. The 12 tribes didn't understand that, and they mingled and became servants to a people that had no power, no real strength. This is what happened to the 12 tribes. They didn't stay under the hand of the Most High, else they would have learned. They would have learned that Satan had no power, nor his demons, neither Esau, and neither Levi, when you really get right down to it. They had no power. But again, because of rebellion in Yasha'Allah, in the midst of the 12 tribes, the Most High, as it were, cut us loose so that we would learn the hard way our forefathers and mothers learned the hard way, a very hard way, that the one that they were serving, that they were so enthused about serving. Well, the women were the leaders in that line of business because they didn't want to have a man's direction over them anyhow. And that was the root of the disturbance in marriage relationship. Therefore, all this we have to uh, um, take into consideration for those of you who are coming in fresh or like to come in and add yourself into the national treasure. It's not all um, peaches and cream. There are some challenges that you're going to have to face off with. And the enemies who have ever been vigilant about causing trouble for you by seeking to extract your life to support them. Because after turning their back on the Most High and on the Mashiach, they found out that they had no life. So they had to come into the midst of the 12 tribes to suck out life. And the 12 tribes are only now learning that. They gave themselves up to the hater and the destroyer and got destroyed by a people that had no power. But our forefathers gave themselves to them and their leader. So overjoyed to hook up his tanks where they were siphoning the life out of the 12 tribes. Oh, they could get their containers. I'm showing you a picture. The situation was like you take your car and put it to the gas station and put the hose of the gas station, gas pump into your car and pump the gas in your car. Satan and his demons and Esau was putting their apparatus for sucking out life into us the same way. This is how they were taking the life out of us and then destroying us. As they took the life out, they were destroying the body. And that was their modus operandi. So as you're coming, seeking the Mashiach for your rescue and for your salvation, these are some hints throwing out that you can be aware of as you make your way towards learning the Torah, learning the scriptures, and learning of the Most High, Father Yahweh, and the Son, his word come in the flesh, offering himself through the strength and the power of the blessed Ruach, set apart spirit. So you are coming into class to learn the rules and regulations of righteousness. You want to live a Torah-filled life, as we are striving to do. Those of us who were in it, who have come before you, we're striving to live a Torah-filled life, to learn of the commandments. Yeah, the 10 Commandments and the other statute laws and and so forth. Other rules that we ought to obey. So we're encouraging you, stop wasting time now. Let's get in. And as the Mashiach would say to his apostles, let's go to the other side. We want to go to the other side now. I think we are weary with being browbeaten and destroyed by the heathen when our master has the treasuries of life and every good that you need. Salvation and love, togetherness. His prayer was, I believe in Yochanan chapter 15, John chapter 15, that we become one as he and the Father are one, that we also become one in him. And so we encourage you, you brethren, the older ones who can understand, more quickly, help the younger ones, younger brothers, the babies, our babies, boys and girls. We got to help them to understand what the Torah is and what it means to them, what it means to us as a people. This is our quest for those of the nations who would enter into life. Well, we're teaching generally what the rules are, so that they can hear us and apply the rules to their own lives and be saved. When our Mashiach returns, he's on the way. It's been a long time coming, but I think if you listen carefully, you may hear the sound of his coming. Oh yeah, he's coming. And according to the book of Judah, what they call the book of Jude, every eye, every eye is going to see him. And all those who had that stiff mouth and pierced him, I'm talking about Amalek, all those that pierced him for spite, having Levi right there. Yes, Levi had a stiff mouth right there, encouraging the crucifixion of the Mashiach. Coming for you, coming to settle the score with all the nations. Shikabata, Rakataba. There's a song that asks the question, where will you be in that great day? Shall you be found wanting or having your sins all washed away? So let's give attention, Yasha Allah, those who are in already, and you're taking your walk into a trot because you learned some stuff. You can move a little more assuredly and more quickly to encourage others to team up with you as we move towards the kingdom and our Mashiach. May the Most High bless you, Yasha Allah, and those who are making their way in. May He make His face to shine upon you upon Yasha Allah, give you shalom. In the name of the Father, Mashiach, our King, and the blessed Ruach. So let it be.